body count thing is, outdated, right? This body, but we've been talking body count for a long time, and the debate is on and on and on and on. I've always said that if you feel like you've got to lie about something, it obviously matters. I don't understand why we have to continue to do this rigmarole of it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter for men, it doesn't matter for women. If you feel the need to lie and lessen the number to make it acceptable for human ears, like you have to think about it. Like even people that are like, oh, I'm going to tell you the truth. You had to think about telling the truth. You already know that most people understand that when you have a higher body count, people look at it a certain way. Now, that doesn't make it right. Look, right, wrong, or different. Even when people I've seen on interviews, well, I don't need to tell you my body count, but it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't, but it does. It shouldn't, but it does. Because the fact that you have to say that indicates to me that you already know the bias that sits before you. Right? When I've seen people be like, oh, well, I don't think it should matter, but I mean, I'm going to decide to tell you the truth today. So you're going to decide to tell the truth today? That means you already know that in other circumstances, if I feel the need to lie, that means that it's probably not a truth I want to tell. And why does that mean? That means it matters. We can play this game all we want to, but it matters. It matters. It matters. And to some men, does that mean that they're just not going to talk to you? No, but they do want to know what you got going on. Okay? That's just what it is. It matters. Right? So there was a young lady that I saw online, and she was arguing about the fact that somebody was saying to the world was saying that she had slept with 250 people. Okay? And she said, that's a lie. I've slept with 106, maybe 110, but at least 106. It's 106 or 110 either way. I say to myself, the fact that you feel that you need to correct the record already shows me that you know that body count matters. However, we live in a society today where we're really sending a very confusing message to our young women. One of the first things that I need women to understand is this. Body count absolutely matters. That does not mean that a man, and here's why, this is why it matters, family. Hear me out, please. Hear me clear. It really doesn't matter what the real body count number is. Hear me, listen to me, family. It's really about how other men perceive you. Let me elaborate. I was watching an episode because, you do a lot of research on these spaces. You watch a lot of content. There was a young lady that was speaking. She was talking. She had an OnlyFans, right? But she was saying, listen, if they only knew, I'm not really that active. Like, I'm not really in these streets like that. I really be at home by myself. I just have an OnlyFans. If you went to her Instagram page, she's literally, it's like it is corn. Like her Instagram page was corn. Period. It was corn. And even though the truth of the matter was she did not have a higher count, even though that was her truth, the perception was that she was active. Sam, why are you bringing this up? Because men are not really tripping. It does matter your body count. But how you are perceived to other men is what matters. If other men see you as being a HOE or easy or a higher body count, or you out here, or you're just you for everybody, or you in these streets, That's what lessens it. It's really about the perception. That's what it comes down to. It's a perception. If they perceive you as being that might not even be your truth. You might be rapping about a reality that you don't live. But if a man perceives you as having that reality, that is going to lessen your ability to get certain men because of the perception. That might not be the truth. So again, family, a lot of women get upset because they're like, oh, well, I mean, yes, I post in these outfits. Yes, I post in these things. Yes, I am Fashion Nova ambassador and I'm doing all this different stuff. But I'm not really like that. I'm just doing it for the gram. I'm just doing it for $1. I'm just doing it for the OnlyFans. I'm just doing it for X, Y, and Z. It's the perception that is being judged. So it's not really as much as like you could privately have a high body count, right? And no man knows. No man cares. You know, on some level, he don't really care about that. But if the perception is that you do, if the perception is that you're easily accessible and that you be sleeping around like that, that's when men, in my opinion and in my experience, that's when they're like, okay, no. They don't take you as seriously. Because at that moment, it's the perception. That's why a lot of young women from OF, they get upset. They're like, man, you know, I'm not really like that. I'm doing this for a job. I have, you know, bills to pay. I have kids to feed, things like that. The perception is if you work that career, they're looking at you as if you're active. That is why it lessens your value. And most men will look at you, a lot of men, not most, I hate to say most, a lot of men won't look at you as valuable. And that's not because you're not valuable. That's just because of the perception of the career that was chosen. That's just what it is. And we can debate it. We can be mad about it. We can go back and forth. It is all about perception. And some men don't care. There is a fraction of men that say, I don't care what you do. I love it. It is what it is. If that's what you do to get your bills paid, I don't really care. Doesn't matter to me. And there's a fraction of men that are like that. The most of the men that I've met, especially if they have a brand or some type of notoriety to them, they're not going to necessarily tie themselves to a woman that they feel like could mess up the brand. So if if I go to your page and the perception is to that man that you are active or you're for the streets or you're out here, that is how they're perceiving you. And they perceive you as having a higher body count. And if they believe men look at you as being easy, they're not going to value you as high. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. So I hope that y'all, did that make sense? Did that make sense? Can we get some ones in the chat that made sense? I think a lot of times we just focus on the actual number. And I don't think the number matters as much as the perception is. Like it's really perception. If a man think you easy, like, oh, she easy. Like she's definitely easy. It's really about perception. You know, you might not even be like that. You might just, it's perception. You know, there's women that, you know, they work in different careers. You know, they might work in certain clubs, exotic dancers. They may not really be out here like that, right? They really might not. I've talked to a lot of women that work in certain professions and they're like, I don't be out here like that. But the perception is that you are. So a lot of men perceive you as that because of the profession that you've chosen. And so therefore they don't look at you as, I can really wife that, or I can really take you seriously. Not all men, some men, a lot of men. you know? So let's get into it. Let me get into some other things that are really that I thought. Okay, so some women have to understand a woman having a lot of male friends is a turnoff for men, for a man. Ladies, I know that I don't know when that was cute or not cute, but when you got a lot of male friends, it's a turnoff. It's a turnoff. Men question that. Because they're saying themselves, like, they know that when I ask men, I do this frequently when I'm like, I need male advice or I'm dealing with male issues. I like men. So I go to men about men because I'm not a man. All right. As much as I feel like I understand men on some level, I am not a man. So I go to men for male advice because they are men. And so men are like thinking as a man, like, okay, as a man, I know what I'm thinking. I know what is actually going on in my mind at this moment. So when a woman has a lot of male friends, it's like, I don't buy all this. Why are they all friends with you? Why are they so cool with you? It's a turnoff. Men know how men think. So therefore, men take issue with such behavior. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become Framily, okay? Friends that are family. Okay, join my Framily today.